So, welcome everyone. This is Rocket Lab Weekly episode 98. We're coming up on episode 100, and we have a really special thing planned for you guys for episode 100. It's going to be really, really fire. So, I'm really excited for that. But as of now, I can't say more about that. We have today with us Mr. Scotto and real Matt Money. And I must say, Matt, you are looking very sharp and good.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Yeah. Whatever you're doing is working, if I might
I
say
paid
that.
you to say that, but I appreciate
Yeah,
it.
okay. So how are you guys doing?
Pretty good. It's been a busy couple of weeks. Had half of the companies in my portfolio all reported within like 3 days of each other. So it's pretty hectic overall. But like we Redwire absolutely tanked. We saw 5N plus like skyrocket. Shift 4 took a hit too, and I actually put a limit order for that one. And then it turned out that Jared Isaacman bought $16 million worth of shares, and the that share price kind of quickly went away from me. So a little bit late on pulling the trigger with that one, but all in all, the portfolios just kind of like treaded water really, because like I said, some companies had some hotter earnings than others, but yeah, doing fine overall. How are you doing, Maddie?
Living the dream, man. Doing good. Just knocking out at work some late nights, but I just realized those are my pants in the background. I am wearing other pants, but I just realized that I got my work pants from last week on the background, so apologies. I thought I cleaned everything up, but hey, you can't get everything right. We are humans at the end of the day. But as you said, it's been a hectic couple of weeks. I'm just trying to knock everything out. As you guys said, it's going to be a busy August. It's going to be a busy September. We have a lot going on, so it's going to be a lot of fun. So for me, that means late nights at the 9 to 5 as well. So I'm trying to make sure I get everything all done. And as you stated, I was just listening to a Venture Global earnings call right before this. A lot of good news there. Palantir reported a couple weeks ago. Rocket Lab, everybody's reporting. So it's just been fun keeping up with all the news. And so far, our portfolio is looking pretty good. And at the end of the day, just trying to keep on and look for great opportunities. But overall, looks like Rocket Lab's continuing to hold up, and looking forward to seeing continued execution, which we have some good news, I assume, from the last week to talk about with that.
Yeah, exactly. By the way, there's a comment here that I want to take up early. Rocket Lab Weekly could use a supplementary technical analysis section for the week, like the segment with Chimp Capital. And I was thinking I saw that tweet. He's basically referring to a tweet where the guy tweeted like that Rocket Lab is going into like a flag pattern, and which means that if we break out on the upside, then we will go like the same up as the pole of the flag, which I guess would take the stock to like 60, 70. But what I found was so funny is that Dave G reshared another technical analysis, which was the exact same picture. And then the guy had a different filter on it. And he was like, oh my God, we just broke below the 30-day moving average. And everybody be really, really careful buying Rocket Lab right now. And I used to be very into technical analysis, but I feel like for a long-term investment, when you're buying a generational company, I don't find it helpful. And this is why I don't take it up on the show. And a lot of times I find that it's very like stock astrology, that two people can look at the same chart and then have completely two different takeaways. And it would have been funny to prep those two, because it was literally the same thing. And then one guy was like, millionaires are going to be made. And then the other guy was like, we are effed, guys. So just curious, like, do you guys use technical analysis? Do you think that it's like do you analyze Rocket Lab on a technical basis?
I mean, if you would have asked me like 2 years ago, I would have laughed at the idea. But now I kind of like, I would say that like technical analysis makes up like the very final like 5% of my due diligence. Like what I mean by that is like I'll do all my due diligence, find a range that I like the company in, and then kind of like buy within that range and kind of like ideally, you know, kind of look at what it's been doing over the past few weeks and try to dial it in. But very, I don't want to say I don't take it seriously. Like I understand it's like religion. Like some people, that's the religion. Some it's like value investing. Like everybody has their own recipe to it, I guess. What do you guys think of it?
I mean, it works until it doesn't. I mean, I don't know. I've never really been like, I see where, I don't know. I get it. People can draw beautiful channels and it follows the channel, but it breaks down. But, you know, there's so many different models and so many different ways that it can break out of channels or, you know, expand out of channels. It's like, you can make some predictions, but there's so many different which ways that it can go that it's hard to still predict even still. Like there's still 3 to 4 different ways it can move in any pattern. So it works until it doesn't. I don't know.
Yeah, let's put it this way. I
mostly focused on long-term price.
Yeah, I was just going to say, let's put it like this. The rich people and the billionaires that I see, none of them do technical analysis, and you know, they, like for example Warren Buffett, and if technical analysis would work to the extent that some people say that it works, then those people would be trillionaires with their you know, like and they would be the world's richest people, but they're not. And also, just in our group, if you look at who are the people who made the most money on Rocket Lab, then those are the people who were just having the conviction and they were just buying and buying and buying regardless of the price, and on a very long period of time. And I'm talking about people like one that is sitting below me on this video, Sir Matt Money, and, you know, Curtis, and you know, other legendary members of the Rocket Lab group. So it's also like the observation, you know, like it isn't the technical analysis, it's the actual due diligence and on the company that made people the money.
Yeah. I mean, I respect it. You know, I'm not saying by any means that you shouldn't do it. Whatever makes anybody comfortable. It's just not the way I do business. And I look at numbers, and numbers make me happy. And I look at the long-term opportunity associated with the company, where I think the potential growth of it is. And to me, I don't think that, you know, what the way a chart works or a pattern that shows up on a chart is going to dictate really what shows up. I mean, do I believe to an extent that there's like Fibonacci sequences and things kind of show up and you can recognize things like that? Yeah, I can believe that to an extent, but to believe that that's the be all end all and that's how everything works, I think that that's where it kind of breaks down for me. I mean, I believe that there's a, it's not, how do I say, it's not 100%. And so what I will say is, you know, to each their own. You know, I can't say, hey, you only need to do fundamental analysis. And just like how I'm not going to tell a technical trader to only do fundamental analysis. And I hope a technical trader doesn't say, hey, Matt, you're an idiot. Only it's like, look, man, I hate to be an asshole here, but I'm a multimillionaire, you know, and I, you know, hate saying that because there's probably people listening that are multi-billionaires. You know, that have probably stumbled across the stream. You know, I'm not saying that to like throw it in anybody's face, but it's like I've done okay by not doing technical analysis, and I'm probably going to do okay and get to the place where I've gotten enough by not doing technical analysis. But if doing technical analysis works for you, then by all means.
Cool. All right. So let's get to the meat and bones of Rocket Lab Weekly. We're going to start with the first news. Which is our own Wellops Vantage, who has taken a round trip around Wellops, and he has observed that Rocket Lab has begun to install shielding on the Neutron launch mount. And again, I mean, we know that the LC3 opening is in 2 weeks. But yeah, things are looking good. I don't know if you guys want to comment on this news, or I should just.
I'm curious if any retail investors have heard. Anybody in the chat? Because I know it closed yesterday. What time yesterday did it close? Do we know?
Not too sure.
I just saw tweets of people begging to be involved in the. Yeah, I hope. I actually, it would be cool to know like what is the criteria. Somebody was like, it should be like a half-eaten hat with the.
What, you had to eat half a hat to go, or what is it?
No, it was. I think it was June who. Miss Iglesias or Mrs. Iglesias who posted like, "I hope Sir Peter Beck pulls my name out of a half-eaten hat or
that'd be
something
funny.
like this." Yeah. Yeah, we're going to find out how it has. Yeah, but please let us know the moment you know that you're going. Tag us on Twitter or something so that we know, and then we can see and check your the junk mail and or spam and everything to make sure it doesn't get lost there.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to. You might have to pay overweight fees in your luggage, but I'll try to find a way that I can sneak into your luggage if you get selected.
Cool. All right. So now we go to the next one. So this week it's official. Geost has been acquired by Rocket Lab. This has a lot of implications for the stock, for the future of Rocket Lab. One thing that, if I remember correctly, on the earnings, they said that in the earnings predictions, they have not calculated with Geost. And they did not want to comment on how financially this will affect Rocket Lab until the acquisition has closed. So I don't know how, because technically if Geost is losing a lot of money, then it could, mess up their gross margins. But I kind of feel like Adam Spice would have thought with that when they made their guidance. Yeah, that was a mini rant. And I just want to, like sometimes you find something and it's done so good that, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So our very own Scotto had a very good Twitter feed when this was announced in May, how this company affects Rocket Lab. So if it's okay with you guys, I just thought that we go through this tweet. Or Scotto, do you want to go through it yourself, or?
It's actually been a while. You go ahead. I'll comment if need be.
Yeah, sure. So earlier this week, Rocket Lab announced the intent to acquire Arizona-based electro-optical and infrared provider Geost LLC. While the details are scarce, let's take a look at the info that's available. I present to you the bull case in 5 parts. Enjoy. So since inception, Geost has been obligated $98 million, primarily from the U.S. Air Force and primarily in the form of computer programming services. That's very interesting to me because you would think that the computer programming services is a part of their business, but not like the biggest part, because it should be the optical thing. Okay, we continue. If we are to assume a 3-year rollout between the award and recognition, then the current revenue rate is expected to be $22 million per year, which would add $5.5 million per quarter to Rocket Lab, with an acquisition price of $275 million, $175 million cash, and 150 million shares. This places Geost's price tag at the price to sales of 12.12. But this doesn't tell the whole story. The government revenue is only part of the equation. Using a conservative estimate of 25-75 split between the commercial and the government brings Geost to a more palatable 30 million per year mark and a price to sale of 9.2. If these assumptions are accurate, there's a case to be made that Geost is a slightly expensive transaction. That is, of course, until you factor in the tech tree that this acquisition unlocks. The implications are huge, and a picture of Orange Man with the golden dome. So what do you guys think about this acquisition, and how will it affect the financials of Rocket Lab?
I'm not sure how much weight we want to put into it, but I'm sure it's directionally accurate. I think it was Cantor Fitzgerald put out a note in regards to this Geost acquisition, and I'm not sure if it's just like throwing darts at a board or how they came across the number, but they're under the assumption that Geost is closer to the $60 million per year run rate. So I guess that'd be like a price of sales of 4.6, which is even better. So assuming that's accurate or even close to, I think this is pretty good for Rocket Lab. And to kind of double up on what we were saying, Vince, about this not being factored in, if that is the case, if you were to simply take the Q3 revenue guide of 100, or sorry, actually, let me double check this before I say it. Yeah, we're in mid-range. Like it would essentially add, what is
15,
that? 60, 15 million. So I guess we'd be closer to like the 165, $170 million range for Q3 going forward. So I mean, that's
the good. That's the good part, right? But then, like on the revenue, but then it would also, like, I don't know how much money they're losing, and then that would mess up the gross margin that they guided for, no? Or maybe they have a way of arranging it in the books as acquisition cost one time something.
Yeah, and like I would imagine that Rocket Lab would kind of like front load if that was going to be bad news. Like, to say that different, I'd assume that the margins would be kind of on par. They might drag a tiny bit, but I think that they would have kind of given like a end. So, like it might, margins might take a bit of a hit. I think they would kind of front load that bad news. And because they didn't, I think that's good news, hopefully.
All right.
I think the bolt-on acquisition of Geost is key for what Rocket Lab continues to look for, right? And I think not only will it kind of give them an entry into certain avenues that I believe will unlock certain future potential for Rocket Lab, but now it also allows them to expand their ability to upsell other people, right? And so I think just now, because it's an opportunity that Rocket Lab has to sell, and it gives it almost like the fact that Rocket Lab makes more devices and has a greater, I guess, I don't want to say SKUs, but the fact that Rocket Lab has more sales and generates more, I guess, craft probably than Geost does, it gives them an opportunity to almost be like their own sales force for Geost products. And so that alone can provide a kind of a tailwind for Geost and expanding that particular part of the company going forward. And then secondly, there's going to be synergies associated with it. I mean, Rocket Lab already has, from what I understand, really good manufacturing plants that they've been able to acquire. I don't think that they would just use them if they're not useful, right? So that I wouldn't be surprised if part of those facilities are shut down or reused for other purposes. I'm not saying that all products or facilities that are acquired by Rocket Lab are shut down, but generally speaking, you'll have the ability to ramp up and access more manufacturing capacity than what Geost has probably been able to bootstrap themselves up for over the past however many years of work that they've been able to do. And so with that, you have access to more capital and the ability to ramp up production, as we saw that large ramp up in revenue. And so with that, they have less what's the word I'm looking for? They have less or they have more access to capital, I guess I'm just saying, and more access to capacity. So the ability for them to increase revenues from that particular part of the business should be much greater. And in that respect, the run rate should increase much faster. In that respect, the gross margins should increase for that part of the business overall, because your unit cost per item should go down, because you're able to basically spread the cost per unit because you're able to make more units per the average run cost across more units. Sorry. A lot of gobbledygook, but
no, it was good. It was good. And Scotto, do you think it's accurate that like 90% of the revenue is coming from like computer program sales, or is it like the early missile warning program, like software that they sell with their products, or that for me seemed a bit out of place?
Yeah, I really don't know what to think of that, really. I think it's just a matter of them not having ramped their product yet. I'd imagine if you were to like isolate like what 2025 would look like by itself, I'm sure that split would look much different.
This is the one, like this
Yeah.
pie chart here. Computer programming services. So the red one is, because I would think it's like they were acquired for their optical and infrared products, and then that's like the small thing in the pie chart. So pie chart. So I was just wondering if this was accurate or but
it'll be interesting to see how that changes over time. I mean, like realistically, we won't see it in this capacity, but it's gonna be interesting to see how it reflects on Rocket Lab's income statement and whatnot.
All right, we go over to the next topic, and that is that we are soon going to have our annual shareholder meeting. And of course, as a shareholder, if you're watching this and you're a shareholder, which I would guess is most of you guys, then make sure that you vote. There's 5 things that management wants us to vote. I think they're pretty standard. It has to do with electing 3 new board members to the board, and then I had it listed somewhere, but it's pretty standard issues. And if you click on this link, you get help with how you find it in your brokerage, and how you can vote on a distance, and how you can attend the annual shareholder meeting. I basically, maybe this is not good, but I barely follow these shareholder meetings of any company that I follow, because I feel it's not so pertinent to the business of the company. It's usually more like legal protocol that they have to follow. But do you guys follow these events? And
not too closely. It's one of those things where, like, I mean, you don't want to blindly trust management, but I think Rocket Labs have, they've kind of proven themselves that, like, if they say, like, this is kind of what we're on board with, it's kind of like, yeah, probably trust your guys' judgment at this point.
Yeah, a lot of these annual shareholder meetings are kind of,
like
I view them as more political. They generally they're more like long-term steering of the ship, not really business decisions. They're more board decisions rather than actual business decisions. So anybody that's ever attended an AGM, annual general shareholders meeting, it's generally you would expect it to be way more, I would anticipate, business oriented, and it seems to be more politics. As you stated, it's like what to do about this board decision, or what to do about that board decision, or what to do about this board member entering, or do you agree with this person's compensation package, or etc.
Yeah, and I generally feel like if you have this urge that you feel like you need to babysit the management of the company, and you don't trust them, and you want to vote against their decisions that they're proposing for the board, maybe you shouldn't be invested in that company. Like, so that's like an additional reason why I'm very loose on following this shareholder meeting. But
but it's still important. I mean, like I said, generally speaking, a lot of the trajectory of the company that I viewed is done through the actual business side of the company, and is run through what the business decisions day to day are done through. I don't think I've ever seen, from what I know, maybe it used to be more so in the previous days, 100 years or so ago, things actually done through the shareholdership. Maybe approvals through mergers and acquisitions and things of the like. But I personally have never really done much as an investor through the actual AGMs or shareholder meetings.
All right. Cool. We move on to the next one. We have a competitor to sorry, I took the wrong one. Here it is. So we have a competitor to the Mars telecommunications orbiter, and this is by Blue Origin. They also posted a video. It feels like this is the way before you submit the bid, is you post a video, and I thought that we're just going to play this and then we compare it to Rocket Labs and then we see what we think. So please let me know if there is sound with this. So what did you guys think? I think it feels like they spent a little bit more money on this film than Rocket Lab. But if you look on the substance, so what do you guys think?
I mean, it's interesting. I don't know. I wonder where, like, what they think their odds of them winning this are. Because I don't know. I don't know. I don't want to talk too poorly about Blue Origin. Like, I wish them the best, but I'm like, I don't know.
So I don't really know much about their execution ability for spacecraft, other than they've launched one New Glenn. They've obviously had the New Shepard, and they've launched Kuiper. I don't really, to be honest, I haven't really followed how much and how well Kuiper is doing. That's probably a blind spot in my part, and that's something I probably should follow up on, considering that's a huge competitor to ASTS potentially, and Starlink. So I'm kind of curious now, and in kind of retrospect, you know, how many other avenues does Blue Origin have to potentially compete with a Rocket Lab? Because from what I've always kind of understood, there was always kind of Kuiper and then New Glenn, and that was pretty much it. New Shepard doesn't really have orbital kind of wants or ambitions. It was always kind of New Glenn, and that was it for the orbital ambitions. And then Kuiper was kind of the internet piece of it. And that was kind of all I kind of had in mind for Blue Origin. So I don't know their execution ability to be able to do something like this. Maybe they're just going to be the person that comes forth with the contract and is going to be able to outsource a lot of that. And they have the ability to outsource a lot of the opportunity to folks like Rocket Lab and others, you know, but I don't know their capability of producing in-house solar or all the things that would be required in putting in a telecommunications orbiter for Mars. Point blank.
I know they did launch the Blue Ring was that's my understanding is Blue Ring was based, or sorry, the Mars orbiter is based on the Blue Ring platform that did launch on New Glenn 1, I guess. So I guess they do have something of a proof of concept. So they've got that working for them, I guess.
It's just how like confident does it make you feel that they write like they specifically mentioned. I think they referenced the fact that New Glenn is such a it has such a payload capacity that it secures the launch window. You know, that to me it like communicates that like we are not sure that we can keep us to the Mars launch window, but it doesn't matter because our rocket, like even if it's on the opposite end of the solar system, we still, because that's basically what happened to the Escapade satellites.
Yeah,
like they're being like they're so under like basically I think it uses like a few percent of the rocket's payload capacity, and then there's so much excess fuel that they can launch even if Mars is in the exact wrong place in the solar system.
Yeah, I mean that's what they're proving. I mean that's what it seems like they're about to do. Because I think Escapade was supposed to launch like Q4 of last year, if memory serves, and then they're talking about launching it this year. And it was kind of like, well, how are you going to launch it if the Mars window's closed? But like you're saying, with New Glenn being such a large rocket and having such a small payload, you got a lot of extra delta on board.
Yeah.
So I'm just looking at some interesting things here. So they've actually won a lot more. Blue Origin themselves, sorry, have won a lot more contracts than I've actually given them credit for. So they've won something for the lunar lander back in the early 2021 timeframe, and a few other interesting contracts, but I haven't heard of any progress being made with those. And it mostly is partnerships, like creating engines that use the kind of the BE4 rather than actually creating the lander itself, right? So it's more so like I think partnering with other people that have created landers in the past, like Lockheed and stuff of the like. So what I also looked up specifically was kind of satellite manufacturing. So I don't know how true this is, but they don't directly manufacture any satellites as a primary business. So what they kind of make are kind of subsystems, propulsion. So they're engines themselves, and then they potentially might be able to use some 3D manufacturing through 3D printing and stuff of the like. But they mostly collaborate using Boeing and Lockheed, and so that's probably comparable to what I was kind of referring to. Is like they might win the contract, but they probably won't be building it themselves. They'd be partnering with subcontractors to be able to execute the actual work themselves. I'm kind of curious what this says about Kuiper. So Blue Origin has a significant role in supporting Kuiper, obviously. 3,200 low Earth orbital satellites aimed at providing global broadband internet. While Amazon is responsible for the manufacturing, Blue Origin includes launch services. And then Blue Origin provides the avionics, propulsion, thermal systems. Interesting. So I'm actually kind of curious now who actually provided more of the building of the Kuiper satellites, now that I'm thinking about it.
Yeah. Okay, maybe we carry on and then you just come in.
Go ahead. Sorry, I didn't mean to.
Yeah, no, absolutely no problem. And I mean, we kind of segued into this, so we continue with Blue Origin Weekly. And the next piece of news is New Glenn's second mission is scheduled September 29th, and it's going to be the Escapade twins by Rocket Lab. And a lot of people are saying like they really hope it's going to go to Mars and not someplace else. It's only the second flight of the rocket. It's usual to have hiccups when the rocket is this early. I don't know if anything would happen to the satellites. Like, does it get reordered from Rocket Lab and then they try again, or then they scrap the whole mission?
I'm not too sure what would happen in that, but these were originally supposed to be launched on New Glenn 1, and I remember being kind of like concerned about that because at that point Blue Origin hadn't even gone orbital, right? And I was just kind of I guess cynically assuming that the rocket would just blow up, not because I don't have faith in Blue Origin or anything, but just because it's typically what happens with rockets, right? The first couple at least tend to not make it, but they actually did surprisingly well. The second stage successfully delivered the test payload, the Blue Ring, and the booster. I think they lost telemetry as it was coming back in, so they didn't get a chance to put a barge under it. But hopefully that is the case with this next one, and yeah, this is going to be an exciting one to watch. It's kind of hard to believe that like Rocket Lab's heading to Mars like next month already. Yeah, really cool. Can't wait to see it.
Yeah, it's actually really phenomenal. I watched New Glenn 1. I don't know if I streamed it or not. I think I did. But really phenomenal. Maybe I tried streaming the first one and the second one I had work or something. I don't remember, but I'll have to go back in the logs and check. But I was very impressed. And like you stated, I was kind of expecting it to kind of blow up. I was expecting it to kind of orbit or at least break the barrier of space, and then shortly after maybe not necessarily be able to last too long, and they might have had to manually explode or blow it up. But they got to orbit, we were able to launch the Blue Ring like you stated, and I was pleasantly surprised. And then I think what they determined was they lost telemetry when they were trying to reignite the engines again on that stage to be able to slow it down. And so I wish that somebody had the footage of that rocket hitting the ocean. That would be like wild to see. But it's kind of like one of those things where it's like if a tree falls in the forest, can you actually hear it? It's like I really wish I had that kind of footage. It's like you can't imagine what it even looks like, but because you didn't see it. But yeah, I wish success, right? Because it's only going to drive the industry forward. Having great successes from SpaceX, great successes from Blue Origin, it's only going to help each other. And if you have competitiveness within the industry, it's only going to provide great ideas within the industry and provide people with competition to make sure that we all maintain on top of our toes. So, in this respect, it's a competitor actually helping expand, and not only that, but helping UC Berkeley as well.
Mm-hmm. Fun fact: the satellites are actually named gold and blue after the colors of UC Berkeley.
Mm-hmm.
Did not know that.
Now you know.
I thought you were going to say the satellites are named blue after Blue Origin, and I was like, what? Okay, no, like cool. All right, so I think that was it for Blue Origin Weekly, and now we go back. So we need to set the record straight. It looks like the rumors about the death of Varda's own spacecraft were greatly exaggerated, and we reported, I think it was 2 weeks ago, that so in some official NASA filings, the spacecraft was marked as space debris. Clearly it was not true. I just don't understand why the company, when they saw that this was going on Twitter, like why they couldn't tweet at that time. We can put on our tinfoil hats. Maybe they did lose communication with it, and then it came back. Don't know, but what did you think?
I think the rumor was coming from Reddit, to be fair, and I doubt that the co-founders of Varda are the Reddit type. No offense to anyone out there, but
then it seeped into Twitter, and then I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know why they're so quiet for so long.
Because isn't it like the way I would imagine if like employees or friends or they're like, hey, like, have you seen this tweet? Like it says you're Strange. Okay, but we were wrong. We need to say it when it happens. And in this case, I mean, we never said we know for sure. We just said like it's not looking good. So we set the records straight. Cool. Now let me see what's the next one. Oh yeah, this is a biggie. So the next news is we are going to get the 10th test flight of Starship after I think 2 Starships blew up where they basically didn't move anything forward with the program, because where Starship is stuck currently is they're trying to figure out how to return stage 2 of the rocket, which is this top pointy one, and Elon Musk says that is not a solved problem yet, and solving that will that's the make and break of the Starship program. And they never even got to being able to test the new heat shields, because there was 2 times the rocket blew up before it was re-entering, and then a 3rd time the rocket basically blew up, I believe during hot fire testing or the wet dress rehearsal. And even on SpaceX standards, I think that was a great setback, because to use 3 rockets and not get any additional data and not move forward is pretty sad. So what do you guys think, and what are your predictions?
I mean, as always, I wish them the best. It's kind of crazy to think that this is like technically the 11th. Well, I mean, 10th flight, I guess, but like, yeah, man, I just want to see them stick one, just like full mission profile, 100% success. Like, I hope the SpaceX staff are doing well. Like, it's got to be pretty demoralizing, because it's been how long has it been, like, between the 10 launches? Like 3 years, 4 years, like
even longer. Yeah, April 20th, 2023.
Yeah.
Okay, but just to add to this, so I will be the, what is it, the steelman or the strawman on this. is that like the rocket has basically made it to orbit. Like they were a few tens of kilometers short from making it into orbit, and I believe that was intentional to make sure that they can, check all the systems. What is really weird to me is why SpaceX is choosing not to, because when they were developing the Falcon 9 rockets and the landing, they were having paid customers flying on the Falcon 9, and then it didn't matter that the whatever happened to the stage 1 after. And here it's like the stage 2 has been caught by the chopsticks, and that is, I feel like it's like a proven thesis. Yes, like maybe there will be some blow-ups and certain things you can still optimize, but at least like the theory on that, if it would work, checks out. And basically the stage 2, which is Starship, basically made it into orbit, so they could deliver for customers, and I'm not sure why they're choosing not to do that and just go all in on the reusability.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I wonder if they're waiting for like their first successful launch before they take on customers, or I don't know.
It's interesting. It's had a very intermittent record.
Yeah, because what do you call a successful launch? Because there's no other rocket other than SpaceX that lands, right? So like a successful launch is making to orbit. So if you look from that viewpoint, it has had like many successful, like it can make it, like that's not a question. The question is like, can it come back?
No, I mean, can it make it? I mean, it's exploded. The actual ship, the deployment ship, has exploded multiple times.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
I think even the most recent, like the last 2, right? Or even 3.
The last. Let me see. I mean, the 7th flight test was following a trajectory similar, and had a planned trajectory in the Indian Ocean. Let's see. During the ship's initial burn, its engine experienced premature shutdowns and propellant leak larger than it could handle, and then they lost telemetry, and then basically exploded over the Turks and Caicos. That was the one where it saw, like, everybody saw the shooting stars across Turks.
But I think it was
flight number 8.
Yeah. Because if memory serves, there was one that was, you could see, like you said, like the falling stars, but then the next one you could see them like even closer to where it took off from, and kind of inferring that it like broke up even earlier. So it's like just the past like 3 or 4, it almost seems like they're kind of regressing.
And what I want to know is, like, because Elon said something very interesting with Everyday Astronaut when he was in his warehouse, because they were building multiple starships at the time, and it was actually a really interesting statement. And I hear what he says, because like as an engineer, you never know what key failure mechanisms may show up, and so what you sometimes will do is, especially if you're going to be building something and manufacturing for a long time, is just test those things. And I'm always kind of curious, like, at what point do you just do that? And so what I'm curious if what he did was test some of these designs early on to see which ones are the best designs, to rule them out. Maybe he knew that those may be like flawed-ish designs, but maybe they would have been cheaper to build, or there could have been superior abilities for it to have longevity out into, you know what I mean? I don't know. But he said something along those lines where it was like, you don't know. There might be risks that it could not work 1 in 1,000 times, and you don't know until you try it sometimes. And so I'm curious if there was multiple different things that he tried differently in the different iterations of those, or if it just actually just had fatal flaws, like gaps or something in the heat shield where it was just actual manufacturing defects that could have been avoided. I don't know.
Yeah, it's definitely a high stakes fly. Curious what is going to happen. All right, and now we go to the last news that I have, which is that we had a successful ULA Vulcan flight this week, and I saw Tori Bruno, the CEO of ULA, doing a tweet, which I should have brought up here, where he was like basically saying how different rockets are designed, and this rocket is optimized for like the geostationary orbit, which is much higher, and then the Falcon 9 is designed for a low Earth orbit, which is like different energies. So the government it can still feel very safe with ULA. I don't know if I buy that. Yeah, but other than that, it's just I feel like the the space race in this the Neutron, Vulcan, New Glenn, Starship, like it's really heating up. That's my only comment. I don't know if you guys other than that, I don't really follow ULA.
Yeah, I don't follow them too closely. I know I'm just looking now. Vulcan had 2 launches in 2024, 1 so far this year, with another 5 planned this year still. So it's getting pretty busy with them as well. It's good to see, and it does make me wonder, like there is that like that launch bottleneck, but it does seem like a lot of launchers are coming online, whether it's Stoke or maybe Relativity, Rocket Lab, Firefly / Northrop Grumman. Like there's a whole lot of rockets coming online. It's going to be interesting to see which ones kind of stand the test of time, including Vulcan here. Cool to see.
Yeah,
there was one also earlier I believe this day for Ariane Space as well. I'm not sure if you have that one lined up, Vince, but it was cool. I did capture this about half hour after it launch. Sorry, for the Space Force. And what I did note, it was cool to hear from Tori Bruno, the interview that was before the launch. It was really cool to see that, and him actually kind of give, especially when right before you have a launch itself. He's kind of a legend, as everybody knows in the industry. And one of the cool things that I thought was interesting to note is as a lot of people are looking, the cost per kilogram to get into space has obviously come down dramatically. But they showed what it looked like 2 different control rooms, and the amount of people in those control rooms comparatively to what we've seen at both Blue Origin, SpaceX, as well as what we've seen at, say, Rocket Lab for the launches, is just a scale of magnitude slightly higher in terms of the amount of people there. So it's just interesting. I don't know if it's just an additional level of scrutiny of making sure that they dot all the I's and cross the T's, but that obviously adds a lot of cost, right? And so it seemed like it was about double the amount of people and double the size of the control room. And so I don't know if it's just a more agile way of working, or if there's more people working more remotely, or more people that are behind the scenes when it comes to Rocket Lab or SpaceX. But that room looked pretty big, and it was all filled with people. So anyway, it was just an important note that I wanted to kind of show. I mean, there's a reason why companies like Rocket Lab and SpaceX seem to be competing, and companies like ULA seem to be getting chopped at the knees, it seems like, from their joint venture partnership.
Yeah, and ULA is for sale, or at one point they like the parent companies wanted to sell ULA, right? Not sure how that is going and who is going to buy that one, if anyone. Okay, cool. This was all I had for the show this week. It wasn't like a really big news week, so we can chit chat a few more minutes, and if the audience wants, you guys can put some questions you want to ask us in the comments. Yeah, other than that, we can sign off. So do you guys think that a possible peace treaty opens up space frontier via Sputnik tech? I don't understand this question.
I think he's referring to Trump and Putin meeting, if they're being friendly enough, if maybe America and Russia could be a little bit more friendly in terms of launch alliances. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. What did you guys think on the meeting? I saw on Twitter, like when Putin and Trump were walking, and then the B-2 bombers like came over the head. I was like, my God, this Trump. And say what you want about him, but the theatrics and the wow showmanship, he has it down. Like,
You Canadians wonder why we don't have free healthcare.
yeah, you mean because the B-12 or the B-2 bombers or what?
Mm-hmm. Sorry, that was a troll comment.
Yeah. So Curtis is asking about my calls. Yeah, it's not too good. I still have them. I'm getting some good feedback on how to get rid of them. I have to go through it, but I have still lots of time. Trump is the ultimate troll. Yes. Yeah, I mean, I think that this is it for the questions. Then this was a shorter show than usual, but thank you guys for coming. And again, Rocket Lab Weekly 100 is going to be fire. So please make sure you guys, I'm speaking to the audience, that you don't miss that one. But I don't think you will. You will. It will be hard to miss. So yeah, pretty cool. Thank you guys, and I'll see you next week.
See you guys.
Cheers.